Trends come and go, but what is truly timeless? Today, we are going to take a look at some pretty outdated interior design trends that are starting to make a comeback. And let me preface, every design is always personal to you. If you like these, use them in moderation, because as long as you like it, that's really all that matters. First on the list is wood paneling. Now, this has been making a comeback for a while now, and I've been seeing it used to the absolute extreme. People are renovating their spaces and using them everywhere. They are doing the ceiling, they are doing the walls, and I'm going to tell it to you straight. It literally looks like you're going back to those 60s and 70s houses where they put wood paneling on everything because no one was creative enough to understand the colors and the dynamic of paint and how it can change your space. It really comes down to having no creativity, so you're like, you know what? Let's put wood paneling up on the wall. It feels so luxe. I hate to break it to you, it does not feel luxe, and it does not look luxe either, especially if you're using it everywhere. A lot of these trends really come down to less is more. I want you to focus on certain rooms or certain details that help emphasize this actual look instead of just relying on this to be the sole detail throughout an entire home. The one great thing about wood paneling is it does add a level of depth and detail to a space when it's actually installed correctly. If you are doing these flush mounted ones with very minimal seams, it just looks like you're trying to cover something up in the space. But if you intentionally add them into design with larger panels in between to give you that negative space, this is what allows these panels to be a design feature and not a relied on source to cover an entire room. I'm just gonna say it now, but if your walls are giving mahogany man cave, oh my God, you're doing it all wrong. It's all about that minimal look. So if you're looking for inspiration when it comes to including wall paneling, look at the Scandinavian interior design style. They know exactly how to do it right, where it feels appropriate, but also proportionate for your space. I never thought I would see the day that glass blocks would return, but honestly, I'm not really mad about it because it can be done in really creative and artistic ways to make a space look really good. The glass blocks of the 80s were all about the Miami drug lord, where it was just like you had windows and walls and shower partitions stacked to the ceiling with these glass blocks. A lot of people did not consider how it actually affects the layout and how much space they actually take up. These 8x8 blocks are like 6 to 7 inches thick and take up a very large footprint in your space. There's actually a renovation I'm working on right now where we're including a modernized glass block to put between the powder room and the living room to let all that natural light come in. But if you are going to use them in your space, you need to bring them into this century. I would avoid those 8x8 blocks that look very dated unless you are designing a space true to that time period, which is usually that mid-century modern. If you start combining interior design styles and that is the main focal point, it's going to draw too much attention and really take away from the natural beauty of all the other elements in your space. And when I reference a more modern styled glass brick, this is exactly what I'm telling you to look for. Not those ones with the white frames in between, but an actual glass brick. I've honestly even seen these on Amazon that I'm so close to ordering a couple to see how they actually look based on the quality and the aesthetic of it. But these, I think, have such a beautiful feature to design to really allow it to come to life and having that light pass through to make it a feature that blends into the rest of your design. And like all of these trends, use it in a minimal matter. If you're making an entire wall out of this space and that's what you're looking at, it's gonna come off very gimmicky. I'm personally victimized by this one because I had this growing up, and seeing it come back now is like, honestly, it's messing with my mind that I have lived through a cycle that's reoccurring in a trend right now. It's not great. And I'm really not that old, people. Come on. But it is the bedding and furniture skirting. There's one thing to bring in bedding and skirting that looks appropriate to the design, especially in that traditional and transitional sense. But if you're putting it in these modern homes, it looks so out of place. I want you to think about how volume is actually used in a space. And when I reference volume, it's how much room an item takes up visually. What's really great about a lot of furniture nowadays is that it's on legs. This allows to alleviate a lot of the visual weight in a space to make it look like it feels balanced and proportioned. If you have everything that looks solid on the ground, it's going to look really heavy and really clunky. If this matches your interior design style and you do want to add a skirted piece in for a bed or chairs or a sofa, think of all the other items in the space so it's not every single item, because as I mentioned before, everything's going to look really heavy in the space. The only time I would ever recommend this is if the skirt of these details is neutral and not a pop of color. A lot of people are bringing it in where it's really bright, so that's the first thing that draws your attention. I want you to think about a pattern or some kind of textile that starts mid-tone from where you're looking into a room and draws up. If your eyes are always focused at looking at the down, it's going to feel very cramped and cave-like, and it's not going to give you that expansive look that you want in a room to make it feel bigger. Another one that I'm not personally offended by is the mural wallpaper. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, much like everything else I say, because everyone has their opinions. I think mural wallpaper has a really beautiful and timeless aspect to spaces depending on the actual mural itself. I know a lot of these murals are very dated because they give that very traditional and transitional style that only works if you're having crown molding, picture frame molding, and chair rails. But you can really hone this in and modernize it in so many different spaces. Whether you're doing the full mural on the wall that wraps around the entire room, or turning it into its own piece of art where you do a picture frame mold around it. There are so many versatile combinations to make this work. If you are doing this, you need to commit to the entire room. I do not want to see an accent wall with a mural wallpaper. This is really borderlining those geometric looks into this day and age. I want you to commit to the entire space because the purpose of the design of these is to feel enveloped, to feel wrapped around, and to give you that cocoon-like look in a room that feels really cozy. So you need to continue around the entire perimeter. These mural wallpapers have an array of different styles. You can go for a scenic look. You can look at a beach. You can look at a forest. Make sure that this design style, as well as the colors and undertones, match the interior design style that you want to achieve. We've really moved away from this minimalistic wall look into this maximalist storytelling space. A space's purpose, especially in your home, is all about being cozy, inviting, and comfortable. And I really think mural wallpapers have the capability of doing it. But let me know in the comments, are you for this or are you completely against it? Because I know this has really divided a lot of people. The next one on this list is gilded and antique mirrors. Now, this is another controversial one because people either love it or hate it. I personally think that antique mirrors have a special place in a home. They add that vintage charm, but they also add this patinaed, elegancy to a mirror that isn't your standard clean-cut mirror itself that everyone looks for. That being said, if you are using antique mirrors in a space, they need to be used as accents and not actual functional mirrors themselves. Because if you're looking in a mirror and it looks like dusty and aged, it gives a beautiful aesthetic Instagram story if that's what you're going for, but it's not going to give you the full picture that's mirrored for what you're looking for. If you want to do an outfit check and this is what you have in your closet, it's not going to look the same when you go outside. You need to have that full perimeter mirror that allows to have a full body image that shows not only the true colors, but the true textures of the elements that it's reflecting. Another thing to keep in mind is that these vintage mirrors, especially if you're looking for a modern one, are extremely expensive. You can't go to an antique market and just look for one and be like, oh, this is an antique mirror that's aged. You need to find the silver lining in the back that's been purposely patinaed with an aging stain. These old mirrors that you're getting at vintage markets are literally deteriorating. It's not going to give you that same look, and it's not going to have that same lasting power in your space to give you that reflection. If you are going to incorporate these antique mirrors into your space, there are two areas that I find that they look incredibly chic in. One is in your entrance foyer as an accent mirror, and two is above a fire mantelpiece. I think that these look not only incredibly good, but they add that reflective quality to a space to make the room look larger because it gives not only that artistic look to it, but you're getting the light reflected around the space. The colorful porcelain tiling has also been making a comeback, and the only thing I can visualize every single time I see someone installing these is my grandmother's bathroom, because not only did she have the sink and the toilet matching in the pink porcelain and the tub itself, but the tiles for the full surround in the tub shower combo were the exact same color finish. The downside to these really bold and beautiful colored tiles is that it gives you that monochromatic look that lacks depth. If you are bringing everything in the same tone, color, and hue, as well as the saturation, it doesn't give you the depth in a space that makes it look really nice. It comes off really flat and bland. You guys already know how I feel about high lacquered finishes, but this has also been making its round as a comeback. And what I think makes it look really nice is that they're using it in more creative ways. People have started moving away from using them as kitchen cabinets and actually incorporating them into furniture pieces, doors, as well as ceilings. Now, what's really fantastic about a high lacquered finish is it gives a really beautiful reflective quality to it. The downside is that you need to use it in a low traffic area that doesn't have a high touch point. If you're putting this on walls or door frames that are constantly being touched, you're gonna see smudges and scratches. But if you use them as accent doors and trim around it, or even a front door as well as a ceiling in a room, it gives such a beautiful dynamic that's truly unexpected and really allows you to enhance the other features in a room. I personally think that the only time a high lacquered finish works is when you use it in a neutral, earthy tone. I'm talking about greens and blues or burgundies. If you're doing anything really intense like a black or a white, it comes off super clinical and you really need to know what you're doing design-wise to make it look proper. Not that I want to age any of you, but I need to know, have you grown up with any of these design trends that are making a comeback, and have you seen them resurface multiple times, or is this a first to you? Because I have lived through some of these trends. Not that I'm old, like I said before, but I need to know, are you seeing these trends resurface, and how do you feel about them? Now you know all about the interior design trends that are making a comeback. You really need to watch my previous video on the worst interior design trends through the decade, because these I personally think will never make a comeback because honestly, they were so bad. And that's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok for all my daily tips and tricks. And if you're ever second guessing yourself, just ask, what would Design Daddy do? Consult me if you want to use any of these in your home before you commit to them. Boom.